All right, everybody, welcome back to the #1 television program in the history of the entire universe. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart, and The Lonesome Crown. All three books published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today I'm here to review The Trackers by Charles Frazier. This is Charles Frazier's newest book. I think it came out 3, 4, 5 months ago. I love Charles Frazier's book Cold Mountain. One of my favorite books of all time. Maybe some of you are familiar with that. He's also written these other, let's see, he wrote, we'll just show them to you. He wrote 13 Moons, which I have not read yet. He wrote Nightwoods, which I have not read yet. And he wrote Wherein, which I have not yet read. So really, this book is the second Charles Frazier's book I've ever read. Man, I stumbling over my words today. I'm going to have to edit a lot of stuff out of this so I don't come off as a moron. But even when I do edit things out, I still come off as a moron. Let's talk about the cover first, because you know I love graphic design and cover illustration. I do like this one quite a bit. It is a illustration by Tom, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing the last name right, Hougamat, Hougamat, Hougamat. Good cover though, I like it. It's fancy. It's got a nice Montana scene, Wyoming scene, Western scene. Can tell it's probably from the 30s or 40s. Great. So this book starts out on May 6th, 1937. Or thereabouts. I'm just assuming because early on, you're not really told when it is, but I gleaned from some of the stuff that was said in the book that it was May 6th, 1937, because that is the day that the Hindenburg crashed. And this gentleman we open up with the scene with this gentleman, he's reading the newspaper, and that has just happened. So it's probably around then. I could solve any mystery in the world. I swear to God I could. Anyway, okay, so Val Welch is the guy. He's on his way to Dawes, Wyoming via a car that he's bought. He's traveling across the United States in 1937. The roadways were a lot different back then. Why is he going to Dawes, Wyoming? Well, he's going to Dawes, Wyoming to paint a mural inside of the post office. Whilst he's there, he's going to be staying at a ranch house owned by a rich rancher. And I'm telling you, this ranch house is straight out of the television show Yellowstone, especially the 1923 version of Yellowstone, which was with Harrison Ford. And you know that show? He's staying in one of these ranch houses, which is dope. Why is he here to paint a mural in the post office? Why is he doing it in Dawes, Wyoming? He's from New York. Why did he come out west to do this? All of that stuff is answered. Well, there was this thing called the New Deal back then where art projects were being paid for by the government. It was to get the economy going after the Great Depression. The Depression is over, but just by a few years. To get the economy rolling, there was a few things that were going on. One of them was in the New Deal, art projects were funded by the government, and they would be artists to paint murals in public spaces. And so they did that. Artists were just sent all over, everywhere, from California to Maine to Florida to Washington State. They were sent everywhere to paint murals. And this guy has accepted a job, Val Welch, in Dawes, Wyoming, which is a small ranching community. And he's going there to paint this mural, and that's what he's set up to do. Now, I Googled Dawes, Wyoming, because I thought, is this story set in a real place? Or what? I found out it's kind of a fictional place. However, there's a lot of Dawes. So then I was like, okay, is the author trying to say something by naming the town Dawes, Wyoming? Because as I Googled Dawes, Wyoming, I found out a few other things about Wyoming, which I didn't know. Dawes is a very famous name in Wyoming because in 1923 there was a railroad tycoon with the last name of Dawes who did a lot of things for the state. Also, there was the Dawes Act, which was started in Wyoming, which was breaking up of the tribal reservations, breaking these reservations up to encourage the Native Americans to buy and sell and work farmland just like the white ranchers were doing. And that was called the Dawes Act. So there was a few things. So I was like, okay, is he trying to make a point about the railroad tycoon or the Dawes Act about having the Native Americans run their own ranches? I don't know. But it's a fictional town. Anyway, so this guy, one of the things that Charles Frazier said in an interview that I read was he was inspired to write this book because he saw just a simple photo hanging in a saloon or a bar somewhere, and it was of a gentleman painting a mural. He was up on a scaffolding painting a mural, one of these public murals from the New Deal, and there were three characters on the floor looking up at him, watching him. And one of the characters was a cowboy, clearly. And then the other two characters were a well-dressed man and woman. And they were watching this artist paint this mural, and he's like, that photograph inspired him. He's like, who are those four people in that photograph? Who's the artist? Why is he there? Who's the cowboy? Why is he there? And who are the two well-dressed, the man and woman, and why are they all together in this scene? Why are the three watching this guy paint, and why is the guy painting? He's like, that inspired him to write this book. And so we got this book. And this book takes on a few twists and turns. Our main guy, he gets to Dawes, Wyoming. He settles down in the ranch house, which looks like it's straight out of the show Yellowstone. And then he starts painting the mural. He gets to know a lot of the people on the ranch. There is a cowboy on the ranch that is rumored to have, he's an older gentleman. He takes no shit from anybody. He's kind of like the tough guy on the ranch, but he's older. I mean, he really runs that ranch with an iron fist. And he is rumored, he's got a mysterious past, but it's rumored that he used to run around with Billy the Kid and a few of the old Wild West gunslingers back, but he's, back in the late 1800s, which is fascinating that if you think about it, somebody born in, say, 1970 or 1870 would have had a lot of experiences in the Old West with people like, Doc Holliday and Billy the Kid and these kind of Wild Bill Hickok, these larger, you would have had experiences with them. And then in 1937, you would have been like 77 years old. I mean, you would still be alive and have those sort of fables sort of follow you around. And that's kind of what this other guy is. And his name was Farlow or something like that. Anyway, I will read the back of this because I'm doing a very shit job of describing what's going on in this book. But as we get to know the people on the ranch, we also get to know the people in the post office. Because remember, Val Welch is painting this mural in the post office. And a lot of the townsfolk come in and watch him paint. And they do spout, and a lot of the townsfolk don't really want him there. Some of them think it's cool. Some of them think it's a waste of money. And they all give him their opinion. And he just sits and takes it. Well, there's a kind of a thing that happens where he ends up leaving Dawes and doing kind of this epic quest journey around the United States and circling back to Dawes. But I will kind of get into that as I read the inside of the book, because the inside of the book is going to give you a better idea of what this thing is about. Okay. Hurtling past the downtrodden communities of Depression-era America, painter Val Welch travels westward to the rural town of Dawes, Wyoming. Through a stroke of luck, he's landed a New Deal assignment to create a mural presenting the region for their new post office. He was going to paint a painting representing Wyoming that's going to hang in the post office. Wealthy art collector John Long and his wife Eve have agreed to host Val at their sprawling ranch, and it is a sprawling ranch. Rumors and intrigue surround the couple. Eve left behind an itinerant life riding the rails and singing in a Western swing band. Long, once a World War I sniper, holds shady political aspirations, and his right-hand man is a mysterious elder cowboy, a vestige of the violent Old West. Val quickly finds himself entranced by their lives. So those are the four people from the photo. Val Long, the painter, John Long and his wife are the well-dressed couple, and then the older cowboy who runs the ranch is the cowboy in the photo. When Eve flees home with a valuable painting in tow, Long recruits Val to hit the road with the mission of tracking her down. Journeying from ramshackle Hooverville to San Francisco nightclubs to the swamps of Florida, Val's search for Eve narrows, and he soon turns up secrets that could spark formidable changes for all of them. So that's kind of the way what happens is he gets involved in the people in the ranch. He grows close to all of them. He enjoys the company of all of them. They enjoy his company. Then the girl, the woman, the rich man's wife, takes off with an expensive painting, and the rich man says, Val, you got to go track her down. He goes on a quest to track her down, which takes, like, I enjoyed the parts of the story that were just in Dawes, Wyoming, at the beginning, at the end. The whole quest to find the missing woman, where he was just going from town to town to town to town, that was probably the part that I wasn't that jazzed about. But that being said, this was still a really cool and fun novel to read. And I learned a lot about that time period, 1937-ish, and what people were going through. And of course, Charles Frazier is a literary writer. I mean, he's just magnificent. If you've read Cold Mountain, you know what I'm talking about. The same quality of writing is in this book. Although I did not like this as much as Cold Mountain, I did enjoy it. I felt like I was on the ranch. I felt like I was in that post office as the mural was being painted. And I liked the fact that he came back to Dawes. I mean, it was a full circle. We didn't have to follow him. You know what I'm saying. Anyway, but I'd say it's an 8.5 out of 10.